this be the end game for you?
That's basically. Ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust. People aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for: freedom, liberty, justice for all, and it's not happening for all right now.
Is this something that's evolved as a philosophy in your mind, and how has this kind of progressed that you make a stand like this?
It's something that I've seen, I've felt, wasn't quite sure how to deal with originally, and it is something that's evolved. It's something, as I've gained more knowledge about, what's gone on in this country in the past, what's going on currently. These aren't new situations. This isn't new ground. It's things that have gone on in this country for years and years and have never been addressed, and they need to be.
Will you continue, Colin, to sit? Will you continue to sit?
Yes, I'll continue to sit. I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. To me, this is something that has to change. And when there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand.
Specifically, all right. I want to thank you for checking out another podcast of We Ain't Scared Talk, where we ain't scared. My name is A1, and that opening audio was from Colin Kaepernick, formerly quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think, unless you've been, pardon the noise here, but living under a rock the last 3 going on 4 years in terms of seasons for the NFL, you understand that Colin took a knee to bring awareness to police brutality and oppression of black people in the United States, in America, with 3 Ks. I will not say people of color. I think that's being disingenuous, and I've said that on previous podcasts, that including any other ethnic group in our oppression is taking away from the fact that for over 400 years, it is black faces, black bodies, black people that have been abused, that have been lynched, that have been burned, that have been oppressed, that have been had our civil rights violated, been murdered by police, unarmed police. We've been the targets of the Klan, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, and basically a hateful country that refuses to repair the damage that it has caused, and not paying reparations to the tune of $17.1 trillion. So we're going to talk today about a different perspective on the protest, the peaceful protest of kneeling. But first, let me say thank you to everyone that subscribes to this podcast. I appreciate you. So if you have not subscribed, subscribe. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's real easy. It's right in front of you. Just a simple tap with your finger, okay? Or you can use your nose too. Like and share. Thanks to everyone that has bought their mug. These We Ain't Scared mugs, they are, I dare say these We Ain't Scared mugs are sexy. I dare say that they are like, they need, if they could, have their own centerfold. You know, they're black, they're strong, and they're not scared. They're not scared of hot drinks. You can make it any temperature of hot, and these strong black mugs will hold it. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. As I take a quick sip here. Okay, so today's podcast, and I always like to, as you know, give you backstory on where this came from. It was as a result of the Jay-Z partnership with the NFL. That particular business agreement or partnership has erupted into a giant flaming ball of foobar. Jay's a businessman, okay? And he is going to engage in whatever business he feels is going to help promote and benefit his people. And I cannot stress that enough. People want to paint Jay-Z with this stroke of he's selfish, he's only thinking about himself, when nothing could be further from the truth. If you pay attention to Jay-Z and how he moves, he's always looking out for black people. There was a post on social media where he was the one responsible for bailing out black men and women who could not afford bail. Okay, he's the one who is helped 21 Savage with his attorneys in fighting that deportation based on the immigration status. He consistently tells black people ownership, ownership, ownership. He consistently does that. Now, I do not believe that Colin Kaepernick and Jay-Z are mutually exclusive from one another. Unfortunately, in the black community, we have also bought into the mentality that there can only be one black male face or one black person out front of any potential protest. There's only one Malcolm X. There's only one Martin Luther King. Okay, there's only one Nat Turner. When the reality is, in order for us to move forward together, it is going to take a chorus of voices and black men. And I say black men, not that black women don't matter and they don't count. It's just when it comes to the warrior mentality and being the men that have to sacrifice our lives first for our families and for our culture, it is black men that hold that responsibility. We have to be the first ones on the front line. We have to be the first ones to throw ourselves on the sword, and we have to be the first ones to jump into the fight, because that is our role. We are the original warriors, okay? So with that, and besides, the show is also about black men, so I have to position it that way. So for those listening, say, well, I fight too. Yes, that's fine. But I'm saying the onus and the responsibility for providing and protecting rests squarely on the shoulders of black men. No exceptions, period. So thank you for that. But let's go ahead and jump in. And, as I said earlier, this has caused an unnecessary controversy in the black community. Some view Jay as a sellout, as I stated, for partnering with the NFL, while Colin Kaepernick is still waiting to be hired. Let me just say this, no divide and conquer, okay? Do not allow this momentary situation to divide and conquer black people. We cannot do that. No Willie Lynch. Any black man that is willing to stand up and say, I will fight and use my status, my platform to promote equality and to fight oppression, we as black people have got to get behind that. I don't care, okay? I don't care. We've got to do it. So, to continue, the truth is there are a few separate issues, I should say, that are being merged into one, and we have to talk about that. Colin knelt to bring attention. Oh, let me tell you the title. I'm so ready to jump into this. The title of today's podcast is, Does Kaepernick owe his supporters, a public press conference about why he settled with the NFL? So again, does Kaepernick owe his supporters a public press conference about why he settled with the NFL? So getting back to my list. Number one, Colin knelt to bring attention to police brutality. Him and Eric Reed are the top two big names in NFL. Colin sued the NFL for collusion, and then after 3 years, he settled his grievance with the NFL for unspecified millions. There are some rumors that it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million that he and Eric Reed split. And of course, their attorneys, Mark Garagos, got 33% of that $5 million, and so on and so forth. So, number 3, Jay-Z, after the settlement, okay, the key word is after. I keep reiterating that. After the settlement, decided he would partner with the NFL to work with them on their social justice initiatives. And as some of you, and I said this before, remember Jay, very vocal. He said, gentrify your neighborhood before these other people or those other people do it. Okay? And so he'll also be coordinating the Super Bowl halftime show, which will take immense pressure off the back of the NFL. Now, some people have gone so far as to say Jay-Z is being used. And I will reiterate, Jay-Z doesn't get used. Jay-Z has never been a puppet. He never has. And he never will be. Everything is strategic. Okay? Number 4, keep in mind, Jay-Z held a public press conference for the media as a whole, and he did it for the black media as well to answer questions publicly. He didn't have a closed door behind the scenes meeting. And then people in the meeting just give their perspective. He was very open so that he wouldn't be accused of backdoor dealings, because there are many people that would have easily went there. How come you didn't do it in public? How come he didn't have the cameras? How come he didn't come out public? You know, because, people just want to hate. Okay? Hating as black folks can sometimes be worse than hating as white folks. At times, I just see us, we escape, we're on a plane or a ship or whatever the case may be, and I can see us poking holes in the hull because we're mad that we didn't come up with the idea. Or we don't like the captain, and then we all got to drown. It's fucking ridiculous. All right, let me get back. Jay-Z will control the front door to the NFL's biggest stage. He will control that. Okay, that has never happened before, that a black man will be in charge of one of the biggest shows on TV. Okay, so to continue, keep in mind the NFL has been boycotted by some, including me, for 3 years. So during that time, football players took a knee, artists refused to perform or sing the national anthem. Some of them did. Now, Cap sold millions of number 7 jerseys as people bought them to show solidarity, which is great. And the black community at large joined Cap in boycotting the NFL to continue bringing attention to the issues of police brutality and oppression in America, with 3 Ks, towards black people. Now, after Jay-Z went public with his NFL partnership, the critics came out of the shadows by the thousands. Some would say by the millions. But, like I said on a previous podcast, Jay-Z didn't hide anything. He has been transparent about his position on the issue. He supports Cap's right to kneel, and he took steps to talk other artists out of performing during the halftime show. So he supports the kneeling. He just now has taken the next step into action in terms of, okay, now we got to get inside. For you mechanics, we got to get under the hood and figure out what's wrong. All right, now my thoughts immediately went to, what does Cap owe his supporters? Somebody like me, who boycotted the NFL for 3 years. And I still may boycott until I see how this situation develops. I didn't watch a single game. I didn't watch any highlights. I don't know who the Super Bowl champs are for the last 3 years. I mean, I think I heard The Eagles won, and the only reason I know that is because of Meek Mill. And I think he was in jail when they won, and they dedicated that to him. So because I love hip-hop, that was how that information trickled down to me. Okay. So does Cap have an obligation to his supporters for the last 3 years that we stood and knelt by him and cheered for him to win his case of collusion against the NFL? Now, I say yes, and here's why. This is what I'm going to use to support it. Number one, sports are a significant part of the African American existence and experience. And for us to say, okay, we will not watch or support something that oppresses our people, that was a huge deal. Okay? We had to change our TV viewing lifestyle entirely. Number two, boycotters and supporters talked openly to our coworkers, friends, and family about why they should boycott. And even when some of them looked at us like we were crazy, we did it anyway. Number three, boycotters endured the emotional loss of the enjoyment of a sport that for years we would schedule our lives around. Number four, boycotters spent money on buying Cap jerseys to show support. And we got into heated discussions, myself included, with people who didn't support the boycott. And we defended Cap by the millions in our voicing. It is these thoughts and sentiments and actions that make me realize that there was and is a lot of financial and emotional capital that boycotters have deposited into Cap, and for him to rally the troops against the enemy. We did that so that he can continue to rally the troops. And then for him to take a quiet, behind-the-scenes settlement without telling the warriors on the front lines why, to me, that needs to be addressed. Now, I realize that the terms of most settlement agreements may prevent that person from speaking publicly about it, but Cap has attorneys, Mark Garagos, that can easily craft or draft a letter or public statement that can be read on camera about why. Again, I support Cap and his boycott of the racist NFL. I just feel like we need to come full circle on the resolution. The public followed him toward and into the boycott. And I believe, again, he owes us the decency and the respect of understanding why. We don't need to know how much he was paid, but the fact is, he was paid to drop the lawsuit. And he took the money. He took it because he wanted what? He wants to play football, and I respect that. You love what you do. You want to do it. I respect it. That is your identity. That's who you are. Now, since I was very, very vocal, as all of you know, about my support of the boycott, I personally am feeling let down about the radio silence from the Kaepernick camp. It is obviously intentional to shield him from any lawsuits by the NFL, again, which I get, since I'm certain that they are chomping at the bit to sue him to make themselves feel better about him making them do something they didn't want to do, which is pay out a settlement, pay him money. There's always a way to say something without saying it in lawyer speak, legalese, so that we, the supporters, get the message. Or maybe he should just hire Jay-Z to summarize why he took the settlement. But they really need to work that out. Jay-Z and Cap really need to talk, and I heard that they did, and I hope that they continue to talk, because this is not us against each other. It's us against them. The point is, when the black community takes steps to boycott and fight oppression, the person that benefited most, okay, that's Colin, $10 million worth of benefiting from that boycott, should feel morally obligated to not only thank his supporters, but explain why the boycott, at least for him, is over. Especially because, again, the rest of us are going to continue our boycott until he gets what? Hired. Now, those questions and concerns need to be addressed. And even if they're not, let me keep it real. It's not like I'm going to turn my back on him. He's a black man, and he did something that was brave. It was courageous. It needs to continue to happen. I'm still a Cap fan. I am. And I just want everyone that does support him to continue to support him. We just need, in my opinion, to hear from him. And mostly because, look, black people, we are stretched to the limit, fighting battles against oppression on multiple fronts in America with 3Ks. So much so that any amount of extra energy that we expend on another racist, hateful incident is even more energy that we take away from our family and other interests. So again, yes, I believe Cap owes his supporters some kind of explanation. It's, again, common courtesy and respect, at least for me. So let me reiterate. I still support Kaepernick. I still support kneeling. I still support Jay-Z. We have to avoid divide and conquer at all costs, because racist, hateful America will do whatever it takes to break the will and the resistance of Black America. And we cannot let that happen under any circumstances whatsoever. Cap, it's your move. Jay-Z, I'm proud of you too. So, as I always say, I am certain you have your own thoughts on the issue, and that's fantastic. Keep the conversation going. It's important. And it's not going to end anytime soon, because the NFL season is just beginning, and we're at preseason now. So there's going to be a lot of commentary, and especially when that halftime Super Bowl show comes up in February, that people are going to be reliving this all over again. So let's root for Jay-Z. Let's root for Colin. Let's boycott when we can. And I do hope sincerely that Jay-Z can use his influence to help Colin get hired. Okay? So I want to thank you for checking out another podcast of We Ain't Scared Talk. My name is A1, and you got some good food for thought. Listen again. Tell a friend. We ain't scared.